Hey, Fanboy Nation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
We're watching
You're watching Fanboy.
Fanboy.
A fanboy, etc.
Fanboy Nation.
Dot, I assume Tom.
This evening, I have the chance of speaking with the man who is the founder of Lingerie Fighting Championship, and they will be doing their show, LFC 31 Booty Camp 2, on Tuesday, March 27th, 7 p.m. Pacific time, only on pay-per-view. Shaun, Donnelly, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
No complaints, man. You know, the promotion has been going great for a long time. I'm excited to see what you have next. You're back home in Vegas for LFC 31. This is the second booty camp. And in the main event is Selena versus Katie Forbes for, I believe, the Booty Camp Championship.
That's right. It's our first booty camp event in a couple years. And, of course, our first event since the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. We managed to get that one in during COVID. This is the first time we've been able to come back to Vegas, and we're still not allowed, but still excited to be back in action.
Was there any backlash for the Sturgis show because so many people were complaining about mass gatherings at the time, and that they were still weary about even going out? Yet there was over 150,000 people in Sturgis.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly had some people who complained or didn't think we should go, but it's ironic sometimes. Like, I had placed an ad. We were looking for an audio guy, and I placed an ad looking for one, and we had 200 or 300 people want to do it, and after the fact, on that same board, there were people who were just like ripping on it. It just happened to. 8 of the 12 people had applied to be the audio guy at that show. So, there's a lot of hypocrisy around it. And, we took a lot of precautions. We allowed our cast and crew to be as safe as they wanted to be. And, of course, nobody, a lot of us had, or a lot of the cast had other events to do afterwards, and no one tested positive.
Right. I have lovingly referred to the Lingerie Fighting Championship as burlesque MMA. And with Booty Camp, now you have the boys from MMA Junkie, John Morgan and Ken Hathaway, I believe, that are going to be the color commentators and the play-by-plays, adding even more legitimacy to the show that you've been put on for 31-plus events. What does that mean to LFC to now have MMA Junkie behind you?
Well, John's been our announcer from day one, and Ken's now been with us for a few years, and they're absolutely amazing commentators, as I think most people know. And then I think adding Ken was, John's always been amazing, and Ken's kind of his sidekick, and together, I think they know the event so well, they know the promotion so well that they really add a lot of color to our events.
The events have been fun. I believe the last one I was at was in Vegas, and it was at Sam's Town. And we just had a great time. So I thank you for having us out for that one. Vegas is the party town, and you guys are going home to Vegas. Might be next time I come out is probably for an LFA show would probably be downtown. That's blowing up. I think more people are staying downtown these days than they are on the Strip.
Yeah, I think with Circa, that's really revitalized the area. Hopefully next time we do a show in Vegas, we can actually have fans, live fans instead of just pay-per-view, and it'd be great to see you again.
Right. It is hard. I mean, you do have your fighters, you do have your commentators and everything else going down. You can't have fans just yet. But with everything that's going on, and eventually people coming back to either, like myself, cover a show or fans in attendance, what does it mean to you, 31 events in the can, or about to be 31 events? And how did this card come about, like setting it up, and specifically why Tuesday night? Tuesday is usually not a pay-per-view night.
I think we decided, since we couldn't have a live audience, the night wasn't as important. And we've seen with other companies, WWE specifically, midweek fights. They do their Mondays, they do their Wednesdays. They, I think especially coming out of COVID, there's still a lot of people who, there's still not a lot of entertainment choices. So I think a midweek fight can work just fine. And so far the pay-per-view numbers we're seeing are good. So it looks like it's paying off.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because for a Tuesday night fight, I mean, you have a 7 p.m. Pacific fight card, 10 p.m. 10 p.m. Eastern, and you're with an early bird price. We got to mention this early bird price before March 13th is $14.99. After March 13th is $19.99. So get your pay-per-view buy-in early. That way, you'll still have some money left over to pay your taxes. But in the main event, you have Selena versus Katie Forbes. And Katie's been around for a while, either in LFC and in professional wrestling.
Yeah, this is only her second fight with us. She fought at LFC 27. So we're excited to get her back. I mean, she's an amazing fighter. And Selena, of course, is incredibly popular fighter right now. So putting the two of them together in the main event, it just made sense. And Booty Camp is a different sort of event for us. So, we don't, you're not fighting for the main LFC title, you're fighting for the Booty Camp champ title. So, to bring in two fighters without titles and have them fight for one, made sense.
Right. Well, take us into the Booty Camp Championship. How did the Booty Camp come about? And now how did the title picture develop?
Well, Booty Camp was, we have our development league in Topeka, Kansas, where the new girls go to train. And Booty Camp was our way of allowing some of the best fighters from in our system to come up and kind of test themselves against our veteran fighters. Now, the main event's the one exception to that, where we bring in two experienced fighters. But the rest of the card is all brand new fighters taking on our vets, with the exception of the first bout, which is we're bringing Audrey Monique back. She was injured years ago, and has been training and rehabbing to get back in. So she's kind of like a new fighter. So we're putting her in the opening bout against Bella Inc.
It's a heavily stacked card. I mean, like you said, you brought back Audrey Monique against Bella Inc. You have Vita Von Star versus Gemma Juliana. Lauren Vogel. She's always been a tough one. Jenny Bloody Valentine's coming back, and so on and so forth. I do have to ask though, Jolene Hexx defending the LFC title in the co-main event, was that something that was bothersome to the champ?
Yeah, no, she's not. Her title is certainly not on the line. That's the European title. So she's already made it very clear that she will not defend it anywhere but Europe. So we have to take her back to Europe, or no one's getting that belt. No, so this is, obviously Shelby Paris got a very unfavorable draw there. But, this is all about us kind of identifying and seeing these fighters in action, identifying new talent. So what better chance to prove yourself than against a fighter like Jolene?
And Jolene's been a tough one. We've seen her in action before. You have such a stacked card, and then you have the coaches themselves, Joel Kane and then Leon Hayter. Terry London is going to be the referee all night, so that's going to be a long night for Terry.
She's actually going to be splitting the night with our regular ref, Shaun Hackett. We definitely wanted to bring Shaun back, but Terry did such a great job in Sturgis. We kind of had that dilemma. We don't want to lose either of them, so we just decided there's 8 bouts. They can each do 4, and get to see both of them. I know fans are probably looking more forward to watching Terry's fights or her bouts, but Shaun does a good job too.
With everything that's going down, and first there was Sturgis, and then you're coming back now to Vegas. Was there apprehension with going to Sturgis and now coming home to Las Vegas on top of everything else? Do you feel that the world is finally opening up little by little, that we can finally enjoy live events when we can fully gather?
Yeah, I think we're getting really close to that point. So we're coming to Vegas. The Vegas Golden Knights are, as of the 15th, are allowing 1,500 fans per game. Other teams are already doing that. So you're definitely seeing things opening up, and we're really looking forward to the first opportunity we get to see our fans again. We miss them.
Well, I know they miss you. I've been promoting LFC for a while now. All my friends are getting excited about it, and everything that's going down. People are really looking forward to this show or this fight card. But I would be remiss not to mention the fact that recently LFC has found some new funding to get things back on track, especially after the Sturgis rally. What was it like actually being able to find new funding to help back the promotion and get things rolling again?
Well, it was great. I mean, we're a publicly traded company, so we have certain advantages when it comes to raising funding. One thing we've been doing is we've been buying out a lot of our funders. So last year after Sturgis in November, we bought out. We at one point we had 6 funders. We bought out. We've bought out all but one of them, so we bought out 5. The funder we have left is extremely. They're big fans of LSC and what we do, so they give us a lot of freedom to pursue what we want. And it was fairly easy to do it. We have to get caught up on our filings, so we're working on that. We'll be current again in about anywhere from 30 to 45 days. So I think a lot of a lot of our shareholders are excited about that and excited to see us back in action.
When you guys went public, what was the general reaction from fans and then from everybody else? It obviously adds more legitimacy to the organization, but some people thought that you guys were going to be fly by night, and here we are, more than 5+ years, and then on top of that, 30+ shows.
Well, I think the reaction to us being public is often, you're public. Like we're such a strange company to be a public company, but we are. And like you said, I don't know if people thought that we'd be around this long, but every year we seem to be getting bigger, and this year's no exception. Even last year, I mean, obviously we had to cancel a lot of our events because of COVID, but we still managed to do the biggest event we've done so far, or one of the biggest, at the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. We put out 2 seasons of our reality series, and we put out another calendar. So we kept as busy as we could.
Right. Well, I think you're keeping as busy as you can. You're probably going to double up the shows for 2020, end of 2021 and 2022 when we can finally gather again.
We have 5. We have tentatively 5 events already scheduled, and I'm hoping that we can add even a couple more.
Well, let's go through the fight card itself. Take us step by step. We'll start at the very beginning with Audrey Monique versus Bella Inc. Audrey, you said, was out with an injury. She's a 1-1 fighter. She's a brawler. Bella is 2-3. So, how does this break down for you? Like, what was the rationale in drawing this card or pulling this card together?
Well, we've been looking for a way to bring Audrey back. We actually brought her back for the 2021 calendar, and her birthday is in February, and so is Bella. So we put them together for the month of February. The theme was classic cars, bikes and cars. And so they did the photo shoot together, and they got along fine. But then when it was time to put this bout together, we actually had someone else who we had lined up to fight Bella, and when she found out who she was fighting, she backed out. So that opened a spot, and I immediately reached out to Audrey, and Audrey won't back down from anyone. So even though they did the calendar together, they're now looking forward to fighting.
Right. And what was Audrey's reaction when you offered her the fight?
Oh, she was excited to do it. I had to kind of explain to her, how she was fighting as a prospect and not a veteran, because she certainly feels she's a veteran. But when I explained, you have been out a long time, you've been rehabbing the injury, you've been down at booty camp, so it kind of makes sense to ring up. Then she was all on board.
Well, you got to start back up and build that record and stamina up. I mean, there is definite ring rust that you have to worry about.
Yeah, and I think Bella didn't say anything, but if anyone, maybe Bella's mad that she's not getting the chance to fight a brand new fighter and get that easy win, because I think Audrey will be a tougher fight than a newbie would be.
Right. With the card continuing, I mean, we have Vita Von Star versus Gemma Juliana. Vita's debuting 0-0 as a wrestler. They're both wrestlers. They're in the same weight class, but there's a 4-inch height difference between the two.
Yeah, well, as you know, there are no weight divisions in LFC, so we do get, it's funny. That's actually one of the reasons the fighter backed up from fighting Bella. Bella had about 3 or 4 inches on her as well. But no, we love the fights where there's a bit of a size disadvantage, and it's not always the bigger fighter who wins. So, we have some great smaller fighters who have done very well against the big fighters.
Right, you're giving it that old school pride feel.
It's like UFC. When they first started, there were no weight divisions, and we're kind of a throwback to that, and we just don't have the size of roster as where it's easy to take 2 people of the same weight. We wouldn't be able to have enough fights if we had to have weight divisions. So we're going to fight against having weight divisions as long as we can.
Yeah, well, we're thrilled to see that, and I think the fans love the way that's going. On top of it, Lauren Fogel, she's been around for a while. She's played professional football. She's taking on Sarah Brooke, who's making her debut. Tell us a little bit about Sarah, since we're familiar with Lauren.
Sarah, we're excited to see her fight. She's been really impressive. Her coaches were really impressed with her at booty camp. So we're excited to bring her up. And you notice their nicknames. It's the Animal versus the Beast. That just kind of, when deciding who to pair Lauren and Sarah with, it just made sense to have the Animal fight the Beast. So we're looking forward to that fight. 2 very beautiful fighters with a lot of skill.
I think this is probably going to be the fight of the night. You have a brawler versus an MMA fighter. So we'll see, maybe a little old school Tank Abbott versus, everybody else that they put him up against type deal with Lauren and Sarah.
Yeah, it should be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Up next on the card, there's Veronica Payne, the VP, versus Jenny Bloody Valentine. Veronica's making her debut. Jenny's a wrestler. I've known Jenny for a while. She's got a bit of a mean streak, especially going into her LFC fights.
Yeah, and Jenny's on a winning streak. I mean, she struggled when she first joined LFC. She lost her first 3 fights. I know she was at one point considering quitting, that maybe this wasn't for her. Luckily, she decided to stick it out, and she's won 3 straight. Looked great doing it, and it's a tough fight for Veronica, but I think has a lot of skills of her own. So we'll see. A lot of people always just assume the veterans are going to roll over the rookies, and that kind of did happen a little bit at the first one. Although we got a couple of amazing fighters out of that, and a couple of bouts that went the distance. I don't think any rookie actually won that night, but they impressed.
Was anyone questioning the tactic of having a rookie versus a veteran card and going, wait a minute, this is unfair to the up and comers?
I think some people, but I think people realize, what the purpose of it is. And I think when we did LFC 26, which was the first booty camp, the rookies held their own. They may not have won the fights, but they weren't embarrassed. They weren't, none of them got killed. So I think it kind of gave people confidence that these fighters coming up are still talented fighters in their own right. They just need experience. So they're going to get a lot of experience in a very short period.
All right. And so far, this is the undercard. We got a few more bouts to go through. Obviously, there's the Fox, Shea Mazzato versus Crystal White. Crystal's making her debut. She's a grappler. Shea's a wrestler. So I think we're going to see a lot of people, or at least we're going to see a lot of time on the ground between these two.
I would expect so. And, although Shea, I find with Shea, she can fight any style you want to throw at her. And I know she's going to, I feel a bit bad for Crystal, because I know if any of our fighters, the one who probably has a chip on her shoulder the most is Shea, because of what happened in Sturgis. A lot of people, myself included, believe she should have won that fight.
Well, she can look at this as her redemption fight, and she's probably going to take it out on Crystal's arms or knee at some point.
Yeah, it's just too bad there's not a title for her to win at the end of it.
And then in the next bout, we have, In the next bout, we have Barbie Hudson, who's making her debut. She's an MMA fighter versus Genevieve Hexx. Genevieve is 5-3. They're only 1 pound in difference, 1 inch in height difference as well. You know, two complementary styles between these two. What are you predicting for this one?
I'm really curious to see how Genevieve performs in this, because I think she's got a lot to prove. After her last fight, she lost to Bella Inc., who, you know, Bella had just a couple fights before that, I think one fight before that, debuted as a booty camp fighter herself. So, you know, to lose to someone who, you know, had debuted just that recently, you know, might have been a little bit embarrassing to Genevieve. So I know she'll want to turn that around. But Barbie Hudson's another one who, you know, has been impressing, and it won't be an easy fight.
And then in our co-main event, the European champion Jolene Hexx in a non-title bout against Shelby the Panther Paris. This is going to be a tough one. I mean, Jolie is a Krav Maga fighter. She's 21, 6-1, and Shelby's making her debut.
Yeah, this one is, if there's any fight that I think we probably maybe already know the outcome of, it probably is that one. Although Shelby, I mean, she's a tough girl. She's another one. She debuted in the calendar recently, you know, which we hadn't done before. No, I shouldn't. We have a couple times, but we put her in, and it was kind of, we had her with Leon Hader, her coach, kind of showed how she got recruited, and she, you know, from doing that, she's been so excited to fight. So, you know, even when I told her who her opponent was, there was no hesitation. It was, yeah, hell yeah, I want to do it.
And then we got our main event. It's going to be Selena, who's 15-2 as a wrestler, versus Katie Forbes, 13-8. You know, 1 inch height difference, 25-pound weight advantage for Katie Forbes, though.
Yeah, this is where we don't have our, you know, weight divisions. It leads to some crazy matchups. But, you know, Selena's such a, you know, a veteran fighter in her own right. I think she'll be fine with the weight disadvantage. And Katie, she debuted with us at LSC 27 in a non-title main event. I guess no one told her it was a non-title main event, because at the end of it, she was pretty sure she'd won a title. So, you know, we're giving her another chance. There actually is a title on the line. So, you know, we'll see if she can grab this one.
When putting this card together, which one do you think is going to be the fight of the night, minus the main event, since that's the big draw?
Yeah, I think the main event's probably the closest of them. I think Bella and Audrey is going to be good, because Audrey, you know, does have that experience. And I'm also really looking forward to Barbie taking on Genevieve.
That one definitely looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. The whole card is just stacked. The talent, you have a deep talent roster. The more important question is, which LFC fighter would you like to see come out of retirement?
Well, I think everyone would love to see Feather Haddon come out of retirement, but the injury she suffered, I just don't think that's a possibility. You know, we had Ali Parks come out of retirement in Sturgis. You know, she then immediately went back into retirement, which was the plan all along. This was her coming out of retirement to do this specific event in Sturgis. She really wanted to do that. You know, but I can't think of many fighters who've been with us who retired that we wouldn't welcome back, because we've had, you know, we've been so fortunate to have such a great lineup.
The show again is a Tuesday night. Where is the FSW Arena? I don't think I've heard of
it's
this.
in Las Vegas. It's not far from the Strip and the airport. You know, it's a really cool venue that is kind of, you know, everything. It's self-enclosed. Everything's there. You know, the ring's already there. The lights are already there. You know, it's kind of plug and play. So, you know, in a case where you couldn't have fans, it just made sense to go someplace that, you know, we don't have to bring anything in. It's all there.
Are we ever going to get a special attraction match on pay-per-view between Hader and Kane? You know, let the coaches go at it.
You might be surprised. We're actually we've never done this before. Normally when we do these events, we do one poster, and, you know, 5 or 6 of the girls get to be on that poster. But as you can imagine, that does create some resentment. So we decided this time we're going to do 4 posters. We're going to put, you know, 16 girls with 4 on each poster. Everybody's happy. Well, then my designer talked me into, what if we did another poster with all the miscellaneous? So, but miscellaneous, we've got an ant singer for the first time. So, of course, Holly May is such a big part of the show. Our Prez, the Ring Girls. We've got celebrity judges. And then, so we did that as our 5th poster. And then he talked me into doing a 6th poster with just the men of LFC. Now, I don't know if anyone wants the men of LFC, but the reason I mention it is I then had to reach out to these guys and get their photos. Coach Kane has sent me his photo, and you would not recognize him. He's ripped. He has taken advantage of COVID, and he is now, I think, more muscular than Coach Hayter. So that might be a fight now that wouldn't be as one-sided as it would have been 2 years ago.
Well, the reality show's been great. It's been fun. We've seen the women train. We've seen the coaches do their thing. Kane's been goofy at times, but he's obviously pulled off some wins for his team. Are we, now that Booty Camp 2 is going on, and eventually we're going to get Booty Camp 3, is the next show going to go back to the standard pink team versus black team?
Yeah, it will go back to our standard sort of show. And one thing to note with Hayter and Kane, Hayter will be in the building, personally coaching his team. Kane is up in Canada right now and can't make it to the show, but he's still going to coach. He's just going to do it through Zoom. He will be the first, I believe, MMA coach to coach remotely through Zoom.
So who's the one that's going to be holding up the iPad to the cage as he screams at his fighters?
He's hired Jackie O to do that. I don't know if you're familiar with Jackie O, but she's you'd much rather watch her walk around than Joe Kane. And so that's how he's going to do it. She will be his body, and fine body it is, and he will try to coach remotely, and hopefully the girls listen to him.
Right. Well, let's hope. Cancel culture is a big thing right now. Gina Carano just recently got canceled, or at least they tried to, and they failed miserably with that. Would you welcome Gina into an LFC cage? I know you made offers to Ronda Rousey at one point.
Yeah, we did. We made an offer to Ronda Rousey, and unfortunately we lost her to the WWE. But yeah, Gina would be, I think, a great addition to LFC. Something maybe we'll look into.
Yeah. Cancel culture, again, is a big thing. Sexism is being pointed out, and even when it's not there, they'll seek it. You're not exploiting your talent because everyone clearly wants to be there. They've all signed contracts. They're all being compensated for their work and not being exploited. What was the general backlash like versus the general support for LFC in the last couple of years, especially with the Me Too movement and in professional wrestling with speaking out? Because we haven't heard anything come out of LFC. So clearly you're running a clear operation.
Yeah, it's been, overwhelmingly people have been supportive of what we do. The idea that you could exploit any of our people just tells me you haven't met them. These are some of the strongest, brightest, most empowered women you'll ever meet. They do this because they enjoy it. They're not ashamed of their bodies. And, there's also such a double standard. If you watch men's MMA, they wear less than our fighters do, and no one ever thinks it's exploitation. So, the double standard that, if women do something, it's wrong. Okay. We're set.
Right. Again, more than half a decade in, I know former pro wrestler Mike Modest was one of your early coaches, and people have come and gone, and the promotion still stands. Take us back to LFC 1 and how, looking back from 31, you can sit there and see the evolution, not only of the product, but how has your vision changed from when you started with the first one to where we are now?
I think we've embraced kind of being our own thing a little bit more than when we started. I think when we started, we were, we kind of didn't have an identity. We weren't sure what we wanted to look like. I think we've really, kind of tailored our product now. We're not just MMA. We're not just wrestling. We're kind of a hybrid of the two that we haven't seen before. And, and we're finding our fans are enjoying that, and the fighters are enjoying it.
So we could say that where Glow left off in the 80s, you guys picked up the torch and took it in a completely different direction, but in their essential spirit.
In some, and there are aspects certainly to our show that are reminiscent of Glow, except that, like when you watch our reality series, unlike Glow, like with Glow, you're seeing characters. When you watch our reality series, that's just them. It's not scripted. It's not, it's just them being themselves. So, so if there's two fighters that don't get along, it's because they don't get along. If there's two fighters that are friends, it's because they're friends. So everything you see, and that's also how our fans get to know our fighters. It's not really in the ring that you get to know them. In the ring, they're just there to fight. They don't grab the mic and yell at each other and do all that kind of stuff. So you get to know who they are through the reality series.
Right. Shaun, with everything that's going on, Tuesday, March 23rd is going to be an exciting night of fights. Again, if they purchase the show before March 13th, it's $14.99. If they purchase afterwards, up until bell time, it's $19.99. Why did you set the price point so low in comparison to so many other pay-per-views?
I think, when we decided we were coming back, we wanted to do it as a little bit of a gift to our fans. And, for instance, if our VIP members, the fight is free to them. And so we wanted to do that, but we also wanted to, when you buy our pay-per-view, you can't buy it until you pick someone in the cast to support. So 30% of your pay-per-view ticket goes to that fighter, or if you want to support a ring girl, even if you want to support a coach, you can do that. So it was kind of a reward to the fans. So we want to keep the price affordable, and then also a reward to the amazing fighters and ring girls and coaches and everyone we have that makes the show possible.
I think that's a great idea, that 30% of everybody's purchase will go to the fighter of their choosing. This is the first time I've ever heard of anybody doing something like that, so I commend you for it.
Yeah, I thought it was a really important thing to do, especially, coming out of COVID, where, some people unfortunately haven't been able to, certainly in this industry, they haven't been as busy as they would have been normally. And, that affects the pocketbook. So we wanted to help out, and of course that money's over top of their guaranteed purse.
Now, take us through the pay-per-view itself. Is it going to be on the LFC website itself? Do you have a tie-in with either Fight Network or Fight TV, or just standard pay-per-view? Like, how's the pay-per-view going to work?
Pay-per-view right down on our site. Our site will be hosting it. That's where you'll watch it.
And is there a sleeper fight that you think people might just sit there and go, I don't know about this one, but that's the one they should really keep their eye on for this card?
I think Gemma and Vita could be that fight, especially Gemma had a fight with us, LFC 29, and it wasn't a very exciting fight. So I think a lot of people maybe wrote her off. I think it was, but it wasn't entirely her. She got an opponent who was a grappler and just held her down the whole time. So I think people, we didn't really get to see what Gemma can do. I think against Vita, who's an exciting fighter in her own right, I think Gemma will have a chance to maybe show off her skill set a little more.
All right, man, this is the biggie. It's Tuesday, March 23rd. We haven't bought our pay-per-view yet, but we're about to click purchase. What's the one reason for someone that hasn't seen an LFC show before to sign on to Lingerie Fighting Championship and decide to book this one?
I think with our show, more than a lot of shows, it's the whole package is entertainment. There's no dead air. That's one thing I can't stand with a lot of events where there'll be 5-10 minutes between fights. With us, the second one fight's over, the next ones are coming in. We've added a lot of things. We've got some really cool celebrity judges for this one, including a rapper named Whoop Dog. Trap Gambino's back, of course, and then Onyx is formerly from Women of Wrestling, and Spider-Man. She's going to be on hand. So there's just going to be a lot going on. Great anthem singer, great. There's just always a lot of entertainment, and of course the entrances. Events are, the fights are great, but you could just watch the entrances and still have a hell of a show.
Right. Well, we're looking forward to it on Tuesday, March 23rd, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, LFC 31, Booty Camp 2, main event, Selena versus Katie Forbes. Shaun, Donnelly, thank you so much for talking to me about LFC. The website is lingeriefc.com, where you can get more information on this and purchase the pay-per-view. Stick around for a couple of minutes after this so we can talk about the documentary that's not ready to promote yet, but we will have you back when it's time to talk about that one.
Awesome. We're looking forward to it. Thanks a lot, Rob.
Perfect. And real quick, where can we find you on social media? LFC on Instagram, Twitter, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I handle our YouTube and Facebook, and so just search Lingerie Fighting Championships on either. But we're also on Instagram and TikTok, and I think at this point we're everywhere.
Perfect. Shaun Donnelly, thank you so much for your time, man. It's been great.
Thank you, Rob.